Hello, my neighbor. Let's talk about free private school curriculum. Okay, we got another fun bit today. We have another hot take. We're going to talk about what is a school, but I want to give my neighbors a free private school curriculum. This one's going to be fun because this one is on my heart. This one is on my chest right now because, let me give you a little backstory. So when I used to teach people back in surgical services, how to teach surgery, or I used to show people how to do surgeries, we would have a problem. And one of the problems that we would have would be getting qualified people to do the job, right? So schools, the schools were bringing us people who didn't have the ability, they didn't have the skill set to do the jobs that were required of them. And then I just would always present this information to my coworkers at the time. I was like, let's just make our own. I was like, why don't we just make our own? And then we know what we're building, right? And, a lot of them didn't really like this and they didn't really enjoy it. But eventually we ended up building our own. And it was really cool because like the techs and then the nurses that we built, they were better than the ones that were coming from other curriculums. And we knew this because we were able to form them and we were able to mold them in the way that we wanted them to be. We created them in our own image, okay? And, and it was just really cool and really fun. So this one is why I want to give a free private school curriculum because, schools are a business opportunity for a lot of my neighbors out there right now. And there's a lot of free money on the table, but, because most people don't know how to organize themselves and they don't know how to administer their lives, you're going to lose out on this opportunity, but it's always on the table and you can pick that money up. Okay, my neighbor? All right. But I want to give you a little data point right here. Here goes an Ivy League fee, right? So you have Ivy League schools out there and then they have a fee, so there's an annual fee for people who go to these Ivy League schools. This is how much they have to pay. Look at this bit right here. It says for the 2023 to 2024 Harvard academic year, the estimated total cost of attendance for on-campus students was $86,000 per year. Okay, so if you wanted to go to Harvard, then you paid $86,000 a year, amounting to approximately over $300,000 for a 4-year degree, right? So for some people that's a house, right? That's not a house anymore in California, right? But for some people in other states, that's a house. That's a lot of land you can buy for a degree, which means just steps from Harvard, right? And we just think that that's amazing because it shows us the opportunity out there. There's so much money on the table. So people, because of the name Harvard, are willing to pay $86,000, right? Now, what is it that you're getting for this $86,000? You're most likely getting a network and you're most likely getting a little piece of paper that says, I went to Harvard, right? And then people like that because then when they go and then they apply for positions at different entities or different institutions, then they look and they see your educational criteria, or when they look at your educational history and it says that, oh, look, they went to Harvard, right? And then that gets them in the door sometimes quicker than, other people who went to like other entities, so like people go to other entities and then people like to grade people based off of what the names of these schools are, right? But it's like, we will know how you get down because you're the product of the school, right? So whatever school you come from, however it is that you move, that's on you, right? But then we know what that school's putting in your mind based off of how you move. And right now, we don't think that these Ivy League institutions are putting out high-level people. In fact, we don't think most institutions are putting out high-level people because we see how they act and we see how they perform out there in the public or out there in the wild, right? When we have all these people complaining instead of getting out there and putting in work, right? We just know that, hey, you're kind of soft, right? You're kind of soft because all you do is complain. You don't even look up under the hood and you don't even look and see how things are created. You don't even know your status, your standing, or your jurisdiction. So why are you complaining? Why are you crying? You gave up that money and that's fair and that's fine, okay? So this is why we're doing what we're doing right now. So I wanted to give you that data point of how much people pay on average to go to Harvard, right? That's just one of the curriculum, or one of the schools out there. They got other ones out there. So I just want to give a shout out to Harvard for showing us how to build a lifelong learning institution. I really appreciate Harvard. I really appreciate all of the institutions out there because they show us how they move. They show us how they operate because of the words that they put down on paper, right? So all we have to do is just go read your mission statement, and all we have to go and do is read your founding documents, and we know why you were created, right? So we know that Harvard was created from my Father's word in the beginning, right? That's how we know how Harvard was created. And it is a major institution here in America, actually worldwide, and we love it. We know that most of these Ivy League schools their source is coming from the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up, okay? So now, thanks for this jump off bit, Harvard, and we're going to hop on this hot take right now, okay? Here we go. What is a school? Okay, so first we have to agree on some terms and conditions, okay, my neighbor? Because a lot of people get sidetracked and a lot of people get hoodwinked because they think that a school is something very different from what it is, okay? So we're going to show you what a school is. I want you to focus on the highlight, and then these are going to be the terms and the conditions for school, okay? Check out what school is. School, a place or house in which persons are instructed in arts, science, languages, or any species of learning. That's what a school is. School, the pupils assembled for instruction. That's what a school is, okay? So if you see this body right here, this body is my Father's property. This body is my Father's house, okay? So my Father dwells in here. Holy Ghost dwells within me. Jesus Christ dwells within me. They school me. They are my schoolmasters. I am their pupil. And then I get out here and I get to serve my other neighbors because this is where I get my curriculum from, okay? So everything that I know, everything that I do, I'm always doing because my curriculum is coming from the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up. So now I'm going to show you my private school curriculum. This is my private school curriculum. I'm giving it to the people for free because Father gave it to us for free, right? So this school curriculum right here is available for all the people right now for free, right? It won't cost you $86,000 in order for you to get the tippy top level education in the world, okay? So this is the tippy top educational curriculum that no man, no woman, no person can beat, right? No person can beat this curriculum right now. Now there's other curriculums out there that people can create and people can establish, and those are technical curriculums. Those are basically based off of whatever job that you're trying to do. But if you want to have a world-class education, right? All you have to do is read my Father's word, Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up. And you're going to set yourself up. And it's cheap, okay? It's cheap materially, but it's going to cost you a lot with time spiritually, okay? So just understand your terms and conditions right now, okay? So drop down and check out the textbook. So here goes the textbook for a private school curriculum. You only need one book. That's going to save you a whole lot of money. Here's the book that you need, the Holy Bible, King James Version, okay? So I'm always going to use the King James Version of the Holy Bible. Why? Because words haven't been added to it and words haven't been taken from it. It is a good book, right? It is a good book. It is an old school book, and it is a book that the English speaking world should be using, right? And that's why we're always going to use the King James Version of the Holy Bible. One textbook to rule them all. You can go hop online right now and you can read the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up, online for free. So even if you want a free curriculum, you can do this for free right now. And if you wish, you can go buy the Bible, right? You can buy the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up. And the cost isn't a whole lot. I know that the cost for textbooks sometimes that's what makes the schools so expensive, is because, for every technical course that you need, you're going to need books that are for it, right? But we got one book to rule them all, okay? So that's why the cost is so much less, in my Father's business, okay? Now drop down and check out the curriculum subject matter. Okay, so here goes the curriculum subject matter. World-class education right here for free. Check it out. You got old witness subjects. So here goes the old witness subjects, because you're going to have old witness subjects and you're going to have new witness subjects, okay? Check out the old witness subjects. You're gonna look at the law. You're gonna study the law. You're gonna study history. You're gonna study wisdom / poetry. You're gonna study major prophets, and you're gonna study minor prophets. Okay, and then you have the X and the plus, right? So you have multiplication and addition. Those are what we call crosses. So you better pick up your cross and you better carry it for every one of those subject matters. Okay, so if you want to be deep in the law, study the law. If you want to be deep in history, study the history. If you want to be deep in wisdom and poetry, study that. If you want to be deep in the major prophets, study that. If you want to be deep in the minor prophets, study that. So each one of those subjects have books that are attached to it, and they're all within the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up, okay? Now drop down and check out the new witness subjects. Here goes the new witness subjects, okay? You have the Gospels. That's the good news. That's the good message. That's the good word right there. So you're going to have those books right there, okay? You got history books, right? You got Pauline epistles. Epistles mean messages, okay? So you're going to have letters and messages and commands coming from Paul, right? And then you're going to have general epistles. Those are general messages or general commands, okay? And then you're going to have apocalyptic epistles or apocalyptic messages and apocalyptic commands. So those are going to be the new witness subjects, okay? So right there, if you follow that curriculum and that subject matter, you're going to set yourself up with the tippy top educational curriculum right there. No school can beat this curriculum. Okay, no school can beat it because this is my father's business right here. And my father laid it out in such simple terms because you're going to understand everything that you need to do, and you're going to understand how you need to operate, and you're going to also save yourself a whole lot of money, because then the only thing that you're going to have to learn how to do is how to administer my father's trust. Okay, remember this bit right here, and this is my father's trust right here. Okay, now drop down. I'm going to show you my job description. So I have a duty and I have an obligation to get out there and teach all nations. All nations are all people. All people is one man is a people, one woman is a people. When you put the man and the woman together, they become the United States, okay? So I'm showing you how to be a United State right now, and I love it. This is my job description. Check this out. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That is a maxim right there. Okay, so that is a building block right there. This is why it's so important for the people to train the children, right? Because if you can train the children on how they're supposed to move and how they're supposed to operate, they won't move from that when they get older, right? And this is why there's always been a battle over who controls the schools, right? Because whoever controls the schools control the future. Right? So if you can control what's going on inside the child's mind, then you're going to be able to control how that child moves when they get older, and you can just trigger them with words, right? And we see this happening right now, and we don't like it because we believe, this is what we believe that everybody should have a tip-top education, right? And this is the best educational system that the world has ever seen, because it's my father's educational system, and my father is God, because I've been blessed to get back into the family and walk with God through the blood of Jesus Christ. So I'm what you would call a made man, okay? So Father made me through Jesus Christ. That's what's up, okay? So let's walk it back up now. I wanted to show you that job description because I wanted to show you, my neighbor, that it's very important for you to train up the children, right? And you and me, we are children. We are children of God, right? Even if you don't know it, because Creator creates creation. So once you understand the terms and the conditions as written, you're going to bring down your stress levels a whole lot, okay? And this is what we like to do. Let's keep walking it up. I wanted to show you the new witness subjects, right? Because that is a curriculum. That is a core curriculum. I wanted to show you the old witness subjects because that is a curriculum. That is a core curriculum. Those are the subject matter curriculums right there. And then I wanted to show you the textbook because you only need one textbook to rule them all. The Holy Bible, King James Version, that's what's up. It's all wrapped up into one book, okay? All of the little books are wrapped up into the one big book, Holy Bible, all right? And that is a private school curriculum for free, okay? For free. You can take a screenshot of this, you can print it out, you can get out there and you can do it. And then if you organize yourself in the appropriate way, this is what we call a nonprofit entity. All schools are nonprofit entities, which means that they're tax exempt. So they're free to do whatever it is that they need to do. Why? Because that's how we wrote down the terms and the conditions in this game, okay? And then I wanted to show you what a school is, because once you understand how to operate a school, because you have to understand what the terms and the conditions are for a school, then you're going to understand what a school is. Okay. So this house right here, this is my father's house. This is my father's school right here. And I know that no man has jurisdiction over this entity right here. Okay. All right. So that is what is a school. Okay. So we're done with that bit. Let's hop on our next slide. Conclusion. This is our closeout game, and we love it. Trust God. Okay, I'm going to say this until Father taps me out, right? I'm going to always say, trust God, put your trust in God, put your property in God's trust. Once you understand how to do this, you're going to bring down your stress levels, to a low level degree. It's going to come down so low, it's going to make life so easy for you, because once you put your property in my Father's trust, because my Father is God, then all you have to do is learn how to dress it and to keep God's property. And this body is God's property. So whatever it is that I do with my mind, or whatever it is that I do with my hands, that is my Father's property, because I put it in my Father's trust, and everything is protected by God with love. Okay? Remember this bit right here, all right? So we're trying to show you how Jesus made us free, because Jesus made me free by showing me how to work as one of the people by God with love. All right? So let's go ahead and keep walking it back up now. So I wanted to give a shout out to Harvard, because Harvard showed us how to set up an institution, a lifelong learning institution. So Harvard is a $1 billion institution. It's worth billions. It's got billions in endowments. So people are always giving Harvard money so Harvard can continue to exist, right? So this is why we know how to move and we know how to operate within the nonprofit realm, because of these nonprofit entities that are doing what they're doing right now. It's so simple. All you have to do is read the terms and the conditions. And then we wanted to show you how much Ivy League institutions like Harvard are charging their students a year for fees, right? So all of these institutions are essentially private entities. They're nonprofit entities, and all of that is tax exempt. Okay, remember this bit right here. Okay, and then I wanted to show you what is a school, and then I wanted to talk about the free private school curriculum that is in the Holy Bible, King James Version. That's what's up. So every man, every woman, every child, every people, every person can use this curriculum for free, and you can set up your schools for free, and you will have a curriculum that'll be at the tippy top, right? Because this is how Harvard built their curriculum, right? So if you want to compare apples to apples, right, then you're going to see that's how Harvard became what Harvard is right here. All they needed was one house, right? One house, and then they built it from there. And every man and every woman has one body, and that one body is my Father's house, because know ye not that ye are the temple of God. Remember this bit, and we're going to be cool, okay? So we're done. Thank you. I'll see you in the future if it's my Father's will. And remember, nobody's having more fun than us. Bye.